Thank you so much for joining me today, and 恭喜发财, Happy New Year. Are you someone who has that nagging feeling that somehow your career is just not right or something is missing? Are you feeling frustrated, angry, disappointed at the way your career is progressing, at how you're performing in your job and things like that? Not just this morning, I had a conversation with an ex-client who was complaining to me about the bad treatment that she was receiving from her boss. And the first thing that she thought to herself was, I want to quit. She was thinking, should I stay? No. Should I switch? Maybe. Or can I choose a totally different new field altogether? We talked about what were the factors that affect the way she was thinking, right? So there were internal and external factors. So when I checked with her, internal factors, what were they? Maybe you have some of these feelings as well. Things like, you are not fulfilled in your job or your career, you're stagnating, you're not progressing, you're not getting the promotion, or maybe what you're doing doesn't coincide with what you feel is important to you, right? Or external factors. You don't have a sense of job security. Maybe your industry is not growing, it's actually in fact declining. Or maybe the culture, the environment that you're in is too toxic for you. It clashes with your personality. Wow. And because of all this, despite all this, a lot of people have difficulty trying to decide. And in fact, many people who come to talk to me, just like my client did this morning, was when you meet with such unhappiness, the first knee-jerk reaction you have is, I want to quit. But is this the only option you have? Or is this even the best option you have? Think about this, huh? So today's topic is actually quite important because it is actually the starting point of many discussions I have with my clients when they first come to see me. Don't you think it's important, your career is important enough for you not to make a knee-jerk reaction? Don't you think you need to compare and contrast and consider all options in relation to what are the realities that you are faced with, what your priorities are, and what are the consequences of your actions? So those are the things I'll be talking about over the next 30 plus minutes or so. Okay? Now, for those of you who don't know me, right, my name is Yue-Wen. I have been a career coach, a trainer, a facilitator, and recently an author and a content creator. I've been doing this for the last 10 years or so. Right? And before I became a coach, I was actually I pivoted across many different types of industries and roles. So I use my experiences to help others as a coach as well as an instructor for training other coaches as well. All right. So today's topic, all right, I'm going to extract from various sources. Okay, what are the sources? Well, the first one is this report from the World Economic Forum, the Future of Jobs Report 2025. Very interesting report. Okay, and I'm going to also refer to some things I found from this recent launch of this portal from SkillsFuture SG, as well as the report that came about from SkillsFuture SG as well, Skills Demand for the Future Economy report. Right? Now, I'm also going to extract elements of what I actually wrote recently in my book, okay, to reflect and redirect, where it talks about how you go about finding out what your career options are. Okay, so all these things, these links to these sources, I'm actually going to give it to you towards the end of today's session. So don't worry if you can't find it or you feel you want to find out more details. All right. So what is the learning outcome for today? What is the learning outcome for today? So basically, I hope you take away the knowledge that there are some factors you need to think about that will influence how you make decisions in your career. Okay. We'll very quickly then talk about what you need to do to evaluate the three options in your career stage right now. Right? And then I'm going to talk about what frame of mind you need to have actually before you even make that decision. Right? And then, this is very important, how do current hiring trends and work trends affect the way you go about taking the next step. And obviously towards the end, I hope that there will be some actionable steps you can take immediately, even after today's session. Okay, so my goal is actually to make things in short bursts, to make it easy for you to take action. Right? I am not going to tell you, today is not about how to do this. Okay, today is about the things you need to think about, questions to ask yourself even before you do the how to. Okay, so for details, there are lots of information out there. You can refer to the resources that I just shared with you and the links that I'm going to share with you, or any other of your own little resource. But I think it's really important to think about things first before you make a notion of a decision towards your next career step. Is that okay? All right. So not a lot of time, all right? So we have about 30 plus minutes or so. I want to target to finish at about 1:40, 1:45 thereabouts. I'm very conscious of your time given that this is the lunch hour, okay? So some basic parameters here. You notice that all of you are on mute. Right now we have about 20 people here, all right? So you're on mute. If you've got any questions, you can type it into the chat box, type to the letter Q, and then I'll address them towards the end of today's session. So give me a bit of time to sort of put through what my thoughts are, and then if you got questions, immediately type into the chat box and I'll come to it later on. All right. Now, for those of you who are asking me, do you get the slides, the deck, and all that? My short answer is no, but I'm going to give you something better. I'm going to give you a recording of today's session. Okay, recording of today's session. Now, the recording of today's session, there are two ways you can get it. One, if you want the unedited version, meaning including the Q&A that we're going to have later on, join my Telegram channel where I'll put up the unedited version. The Telegram channel can be accessed from this link up there, careerbliss.info. In fact, that link is pinned into the chat box as well. Okay. The second way you can get the recording of this video is actually go to my YouTube channel, but that one will be released later and you'll be an edited version because the YouTube channel is public, right? So all the Q&As will be taken out, okay? The Telegram channel is a closed channel. It's only for people who consciously sign up for it. It's not searchable. Whereas the YouTube channel is open to public. That's why for PDPA, I'll cut off all the Q&As. All right. Is that okay? All right. Is that okay? So those are the parameters. All right. So what are the things that what are the topics for discussion today? Well, the first thing obviously is that I want to go into a discussion of what are the things you need to think about for these three options that you have on the table. Then I need to make sure you understand what frame of mind you need to have before you embark on your next step. All right. And then obviously we're going to talk about what are the trends out there and how it impacts you. Right? And then obviously at the end, you have some idea of takeaways that you can actually do immediately. Talk about this first thing here first, the three options that you have on the table. So let's talk about the first one. I noticed that many of you, those of you who have signed up for today's session, quite a majority of you are actually currently either working full-time or freelancing or actually in employment part-time or in some form or manner. Okay? So let me ask you this. If you are unhappy, what is the first question you usually ask yourself? Think about this, huh? When you are unhappy in your job or in your career, what is the first thing you usually ask yourself? Typically, like my client today, right? She will ask herself, should I stay or should I go? But is this the right question to ask yourself? Or are there deeper questions you need to ask yourself? That's what I'm putting to you on the table today. Okay. And this is a starting step I always use with my clients who come to me and say, Yue-Wen, I'm not happy with where I am right now. I'm really having concerns with how my career direction is taking. So what questions do you need to ask? What questions do you need to ask? Well, to put it in a nutshell, these are the first three questions, very important. Understand, why are you unhappy? Why are you unhappy? You know, will things get better if I stay on? Right? And what can I do about all those things that's making me unhappy? So it's really about you examining things that you can influence or things you can control in your current situation. Okay, you need to understand first, because there are certain things that you can control and maybe some things you cannot control. If you cannot control, then you need to think about whether it is truly sufficient for you to, is in fact good for you to stay on, or do you need to think of alternatives. All right, so think of factors within or outside of your control and how it is impacting what you are doing right now. All right, now there is one missing question that many people forget to ask themselves also, which is what? This one. What would make you stay along this job or along this career path? Okay, some of you may be saying, oh, I want to reach a certain pay scale or salary scale. I want to be happy. I hope the job or the career will meet what's important to me. I hope the environment will change. I hope I have growth opportunities, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you need to put on the table and ask yourself, what would make you stay the course? Okay, so first set of big questions you need to ask yourself. Is that okay with that? All right. Now, interesting thing here is this. You ask yourself all these questions, you come to the conclusion and say, okay, maybe if you say you want to stay, next thing you need to think about is, what about your employer? How do you think they will think about you? Do you think they want you to stay? Okay. Now, that is something that we say, oh, maybe I should consider that as well. Huh? Because the employer, when they look at you as an employee or staff, or even if your clients who are working with you, they're thinking, what is the value add Benji brings to the table? What is the value add that Eugene brings to the table? Right? We all know that the world is so competitive nowadays. Right now. So we need to prove that we can provide value to the people we serve, which could be the employer, it could be your clients. All right. So this is so important. You need to think about this. Huh? So it's not just about you, whether you ask yourself what will take to make me stay or what environments I can control. But you also need to think about it from the point of your bosses, your employers, your clients that you work with. Okay? How can you add value to them? Which means what? You need to look at your skill sets. You need to look at your skill sets. This is a table that I extracted from the World Economic Forum. It illustrates the top 10 fastest growing skills by 2030. Okay, you see all those. A lot of it is technical skills, but there are some non-technical skills as well, right? See, creative thinking, resilience, curiosity, and all that. So the thing you have to ask yourself is this: do you have these skills? Are you willing to put in the effort to reskill or upskill in order to prove yourself of value to your clients, to your employer? Okay, so that's another question you need to ask yourself. Okay, another report I want to share with you this time from Job Skills Portal, right, where they talk about the top skills that's in demand. I listed down the top 5 here, and if you look at it, it's quite interesting, isn't it? The top 5 skills here: communication, effective client communication, applied teamwork, team management, project management. Do you see the thing here that's so unique, even in this top 5? In fact, there are others as well, but I highlighted these top 5. They are all transferable. They are all transferable skills. Yeah? You see that? Right? So, if you look at the notion of now, if you are employed or if you are set on your own career path right now, and you're asking yourself, should I stay on this path? Should I stay with this organization or this employer? You need to start thinking, if I'm unhappy, why am I unhappy? What is the real issue? Okay? But even if you decide to stay on the path, stay with the employer, you cannot stand still. You cannot stand still, right? You have to keep making yourself relevant to the role, to the company, to your people that you serve, all right? And how do you make yourself relevant? Through upskilling, through training, through reskilling, right? That's important, isn't it? That's important. But the next factor here you also need to consider, if you want to stay this path, is, does it align with what's important to you, right? Does it align with what's important to you? Okay. Now, if you think, yes, I know all these things, I'm willing to go for training. I feel that this is relevant for me. I mean, it's aligned with what is important to me. Then you want to seek growth, right? You want to seek growth. How do you seek growth? Right? If you're working within an organization, then you need to build relationships to find out opportunities for growth within the organization. Right? If you're on a career path, like for example, for me, I'm an entrepreneur, I have my own career coaching practice, right? How I seek growth and opportunities is I work and build relationships with people around me in the industry, right? And that's how I seek opportunities for growth, right? So you need to do the same as well. If you are telling yourself, I will stay on this path, I will stay with my current organization, my current company, how can I seek growth within that company? All right. So that's important as well. Is that all right? Okay. So these are the set of questions you need to ask if you are thinking about staying on or not staying on. In fact, this was a discussion I had with my client when she called me this morning. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about the next portion. Is switching. Now here I'm gonna do something slightly different. I'm combining the notion of switching jobs, right? Switching organizations, right? Or switching careers, right? That means going into a new field altogether. I want to combine these two because the factors that make you consider about switching are actually common factors. Although the way you go about achieving those goals or those career path goals are slightly different. Okay. So if you think about it, what are the reasons that will force you to leave your current situation and embark on a new scenario like a new organization or a new career path? What are the reasons that you need to consider? Now, if I share with you the set of reasons I find most common with the clients that I worked with over the last 10 years or so, and in fact with a lot of workshop participants, these are the reasons they usually have, right? You're stagnating, you're not happy, you're dissatisfied, maybe work-life balance not so good, you're seeking a new challenge, right? You're seeking a better salary, bosses, colleagues you can't get along with, you're suffering from burnout, misalignment with what you believe is true and important to you, insecure about your job because maybe the industry is going, or maybe you're like getting into mergers and acquisition, which some of my clients actually have faced with, right? You have health concerns, or you find that you have a new passion or pursuit that you want to go for, or you just want to start your own business and take charge of your own path, right? So these are all very valid reasons to think about when you are thinking of moving into a totally new area, right? Now, if you are thinking to say, hey, I want to change careers, all right? Change careers. That means, change the role of what you are doing right now into something different. Of these reasons, there are only a few of them that are strong enough to make you make the effort, make the sacrifice to go into a new career path. Okay, what are these reasons? Typically, these are the ones that I highlight below. If your reasons are within those that are highlighted, typically these reasons give you sufficient impetus to take the next big step. Why? Because at the end of the day, if you look at it, if you are thinking about switching careers, right? Whether you are switching to a totally different industry, a totally different job role, or you are pivoting. Pivoting means what? You either go into the same role but different industry, or you go into a different industry but the same role. That's pivot. All right. Either of these two, you need to make sacrifices. Okay. So the question is whether you are willing to make the sacrifice. So your reasons have to be strong enough to push you to make those sacrifices, right? Then there's another factor here you need to think about. Do you have the skills that you can transfer from one scenario to the next scenario? All right. So you need to ask yourself these questions before you think about changing your your job or changing your industry or changing your boss or firing your boss. Okay? So these are the things you need to think about. That's why here, remember, I said today is not a how-to, but it's the things that you need to think about before you embark on the how-to. Right? In fact, this notion of transferable skills is so important, right? That I'm actually considering talking about this in my next webinar, which I'll share with you later. Okay? So let's come to the third category. Now, this one is something which I personally found in the last 1.5, 2 years, right? Where I have getting more workshop participants and clients who want to have fast success. Maybe it's because of the culture nowadays, right? We want instant success, instant satisfaction. So I have clients come to me and say, Yue-Wen, what do I need to do to accelerate my career so that I can retire early? Right? So this is about taking a bold new step. Okay. And in many cases, it's about jumping into a new area altogether because they have found that maybe what they have been doing is cannot allow them to meet their career aspirations or ambitions. All right. So if you are in this boat, then obviously you may be thinking, I want to jump into something totally new. Right? Because I'm sick and tired of what I'm doing before. But then you also need to think, those things that you choose to jump into, make sure that they are growing industries or growing sectors. Because there's no point jumping into something that's not growing or is declining, right? Because then you're not soaring, you're diving already. Okay? So remember this. So what are these? What are these fast-growing jobs? Again, this is a report from the Future of Jobs Report 2025 from the World Economic Forum. You see all these the top fastest growing jobs that's on record right now. Right? You notice that a lot of it is tech related, but do you see item number 9? Item number 9, light truck or delivery services drivers. Interesting, isn't it? Right? What does this mean? What does this mean? It shows that while these jobs are fastest growing, it also means that the industry that they are in is probably also growing very fast, which also means that the auxiliary support services that help support the growth of these industries are also growing very fast. Okay, hence you see light truck or delivery service drivers as one of the fastest growing jobs that's been listed down there because they support a lot of the other industries. Right? Interesting, isn't it? Now, highest paid jobs, again, in Singapore. This was a list provided by this resume writer SG, Morgan from Morgan and McKinley. All right? It lists down all the highest paid jobs in Singapore currently. So you can see all those things there. Now, it's very good to want to go for these jobs or which is highest paying or fastest growing, but you ask yourself this, do you have the skill set? Do you meet the requirements to fulfill these jobs? Fulfill these jobs. Okay? You have to ask yourself this. You have to ask yourself this. So, if you are thinking about soaring and going on a high flying path, what are the risks involved? You need to assess the risk. Everyone's risk, risk appetite is different. So what one person may think is risky to another person may not be risky at all. Okay, so you have to understand the risk for yourself. Okay, can you overcome the challenges? What are the challenges you face? Again, different for everyone because everyone's situation is different. You need to assess what are the challenges you are facing. Can you overcome this? But also, if you want to go into something that is so high flying and accelerating so fast, if you want to maintain the momentum, right, you need to also find out if that path aligns with who you are as a person. Okay? So important because if it's not aligned, you're going to fall short. You're going to fall off the rail because the train or the car is moving so quickly along this path. If you're not inside the car, but you're just hanging on, when the first curve comes, you're going to be thrown off. Okay? So you need to think of that. All right? So that is the first part here. So let's then think about what sort of frame of mind you need to have. Now, I find this is really a very important factor here because, the way you think affects the way you act and behave, right? So that's why it is so, so important. Now, I want to share this little findings from the WEF, World Economic Forum, all right? It lists down the core skill sets in 2025. You look at this, I highlighted some of these: analytical thinking, resilience, creative thinking, motivation, empathy, curiosity. What have they got in common? What do you guys think? What do they have in common? Huh? If I look at it, with all these skills, the thing that they have in common, they are the skills that also help you to cope with change, right? Considering all the rapid changes that's happening to us now, all these skills you see on the left are skills that allow you to cope with all these changes. Interesting, isn't it? Right? So if I talk about all the mindsets that you need to have, now the first two mindsets, I'm sure all of you would know, and you say, oh yeah, Yue-Wen, I've heard about this before, I know what to do and all that. But I guarantee you the third mindset is probably something you may be aware of, but you find that it's so difficult to do. It's so difficult to do. Okay. So first one, growth mindset. You all know this, right? You need to think the positive way and not the negative way, right? The growth mindset. So I'm not going to go too much detail in this. This one, I think also many of you will know this, right? Don't be afraid to fail. Learn from your failures. Be open with how you experience life, how you go through life, right? Be open to the opportunities, new opportunities, all right? So have an open mindset, have a growth mindset. Now, the third one, some of you probably know this, but in my experience working with a lot of clients, this is probably one of the most difficult things they have to do is be active, not passive. Right? I think it's a natural tendency for all of us to take shortcuts. We want to take the path of least resistance. In fact, this is the reason why many people have difficulty overcoming this old habit of applying for jobs where they will apply 100, 200, 300 jobs on the job portal and sit there and wait. Now, you may think that's active. To me, that is passive. That's passive because it's very easy to apply for those. Then you just sit back and wait for the people to call you, right? The challenge here is instead of doing that, can you get off your butt and go out and create opportunities for yourself to find the opportunities from the people who are creating those opportunities, those job opportunities, right? That is the challenge that many people face. That is not because it's difficult, but because it takes a lot of effort, right? So this is where we need to have this mindset to think that we cannot be passive in the way we look at our careers. We need to be active in the whole process, right? And really, this is something I always want my own clients to uh, grasp this basic concept before we actually go on to the next step. Go on to the next step. You need to find your own answers. You need to find your own answers. Okay? All right. Let's talk about hiring trends. Right? Let's talk about hiring trends. Essentially, this is about what employers want, what employers are looking for, what employers are looking for. All right. Now, again, the WEF study has shown that employers are faced with 5 key labor market drivers. Okay, you see here: technology change, green transition, demographic shifts, economic uncertainty, geo-economic fragmentation. Right, which is in the last couple of weeks or so, that's the threat of that happening is a lot, right? But among all this, they all agree that the biggest factor is technology. The biggest factor is technology. Technological change is the biggest impact on the way employers will look at their labor force. Look at their labor force. In fact, SkillsFuture Singapore also listed down that, in order to grow in some of the bigger and faster growing sectors like the digital economy, obviously you need technological skills. The be comfortable with technology. All right. What does this all mean? It means that you need to have some form of technology literacy and also a creative way to use technology for yourself. Okay. So the rise of AI and automation means what? Upskilling is crucial. Is crucial. Right. Right. But remote work and flexibility is becoming normal around, right? And because of this, the roles, the opportunity for your role to become more international, become more global is very, very, how should I put it? A factor that you need to consider as well, because the employers are looking at you in that manner if you want to progress in that career path, right? So what happens then? Now, despite technical skills, soft skills become impactful as well. All right, communication skills, adaptability, problem solving skills, and these are all transferable skills. Okay, so imagine all this, huh? Whatever we've been talked about, it comes back down to what skills you have that you can transfer to your next situation. All right, what skills you have that you can transfer to your next situation. That is the critical thing you need to think about. You need to think about. Okay, so we've reached the half hour mark. So let me sort of talk about the last portion, which is taking action. All right. So I'm going to extract a few of what the next couple of slides I'm going to extract from actually another book I wrote, which talks about in detail about action planning and what you need to do if you were going down different paths. Right. But I'm not going to show you the how-to, but I'm going to share with you what I feel are the factors you need to think about before you go into the action planning. Okay. First thing, when you are looking at options, what your options are, you need to match it up with what's important to you, what skill set you have, and what are your career objectives. Okay, that's a basic, right? I think you all know this. I inherently important for your next step. Okay, you also need to consider when you are considering the next step or the actions that you're going to do, what are the impact on you financially, emotionally, and whether they are practical for you or not. Okay, because sometimes you may consider that I want to do this, but in your current situation, it may not be so practical. Okay, for example, I had a client, all right, who is thinking of actually expanding overseas and moving to China, but he couldn't do it because his family situation, right? So he couldn't make that move, so he had to find an alternative. All right, whatever goals and targets you set, it must be achievable. Don't set goals that is so out of the way that you can only look upon it and wish for it to happen, but it's not going to happen. All right, and set timelines as well. Timelines is so important. Please don't forget. There's no point putting up a goal and you don't know when you want to achieve it, because the timelines will force you to measure out what steps you need to take. Right? And these are the smaller steps you need to take to get your big goal. Now, my philosophy here is this: you can create a lot of action steps, sub goals, and whatever, but the best way to move forward is to make these steps a habit for yourself. In my last workshop, I already mentioned to the participant, I said, uh, when I was retrenched 3 times, but when I was first retrenched, I started this pattern of actually regularly looking at target industries and looking at connections within those industries. And then I made it a habit of every day, morning I'll do the research, afternoon I'll do the outreach. Okay. And to this day, I'm actually still doing that as well. Right. And it's helped me a lot. And it has become a habit. Okay. So find habits that help you move to your career goal. Okay. Now, if you have challenges, you will face challenges. Ask for help. Don't be shy. You are not an island. You don't work on by yourself. Okay. Look for help. Right? And this is so important. Momentum. Because of the challenges, you will face certain days where you feel that, how can I carry on? This is getting too hard. How do you maintain the momentum? Various ways to do it, right? Whether you celebrate every single step that you have achieved. Celebrate it. Go out for maybe a meal with your loved ones, or even open up a can of beer or open up a bottle of wine and just cheer to yourself and say, oh, I've done this. You know, celebrate it. All right. Work with people you respect, mentors, if you will. All right. Make yourself accountable so that they will then ask you what's happening. You know, you will be accountable to them in your own career development path. Okay. Surround yourself with people you respect, people you feel that you want to emulate in terms of success. Okay. Or read about them, because this will motivate you as well. And the last portion, the last party that you need to have in order to maintain momentum is get your support structure, right? Who are your support structure? Who's in your support structure? It could be your family, it could be your close friends, it could be your partner, all right? But you must have a support structure to help you maintain the momentum. Okay? All right? All right. So it's 1:40. I'm fast reaching my time limit. So I'm going to round this very short session to summarize with using this acronym SOAR. Okay. So the first one, S, is self-reflect. Reflect on your motivations, your strengths, what's important to you, and also what you cannot do without the non-negotiables. Okay. O, observe your own situation. Internal factors, external factors, right? How are these affecting you? To what extent are they controllable and influenced by you? Or you can influence the outcome, okay? Analyze all your options on the table, whether you want to stay along this path, whether you want to switch to something else, or you want to go to totally something new and exciting, all right? And last but not least is to redesign your career by taking action. You visualize what you want to achieve and you act upon it. Okay? Don't just sit there and wish for it to happen. No point. No point at all. What's next in terms of the topic? Okay, what's next in terms of the topic? So what I'm going to do, the next topic is like today is the second one. So the next topic I want to do is this: repackage your hidden skills for a new career. Remember earlier on I said how important transferable skills are, and I'm sure you got the gist of uh, uh, of this when I emphasize transferable skills so many times during this last half an hour or so. Okay, so when I'm going to do it, I'm likely to do it in March. Now, there's a very good reason for this. Okay, so March, I will give the exact dates in the Telegram channel as well. So if you sign up the Telegram channel, I'll give you the exact date to when this item is. Probably going to be middle of March. The reason why is because month of February, I need to spend time finalizing this book. Okay, I've promised many people and it's been delayed so many times, but there are good reasons for delay, but this time now I'm not going to delay. All right, I'm going to put it out before March 15th. Okay, the reason why before March 15th is because the pre-sales is already available on Google Play Store. All right, and some people have already taken orders for this to take advantage of the early bird pricing, and people who have taken the early bird pricing, you will not be charged for it until the thing is published, which I target at March 15th. Okay, so if you want to know more about this, again, it's in the Telegram channel. Okay, this is only open, the early bird is open to people who can look at it in the Telegram channel itself. All right, so that is my intent for the month of February. I hope you understand this, that I will need time to do this, because the reason why it's been delayed since December is because I've just been distracted by so many things. All right, so it is now 1:52. My apologies for delaying you during your lunchtime or from whatever you need to do. I hope you found today's session useful. Like I said, this shorter session is not meant to give you details of how to, but to give you ideas of what you need to ask yourself so that you can then have a better knowledge, better insight before proceeding to the how to. All right. I came across this phrase just recently, which I thought was very interesting. You feel anxious because you're not making progress. You're not making progress because you lack clarity. Right? You lack clarity because maybe you never take the time to reflect on what you actually want from your career or for your life. All right. So I hope that by asking yourself those questions, which I shared with you in the last half an hour or so, you get some clarity for yourself. All right. It's no point somebody telling you what you should do it's better that you ask yourself what's important to you, what are the things that you need to do to reinforce that sense of clarity for you. Is that okay? All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for staying with me for the last 45 minutes or so. I'm really happy to be able to share with you my thoughts and insights on this really important topic, because it is something near and dear to my heart. But I hope that if you want to reach out to me and ask me any more questions, by all means, communicate with me. Everything is inside careerbliss.info, or you can go to the Telegram channel and communicate with me there when I post up the video as well. Okay, everyone. Again, thank you so much. I wish you well, and I hope to keep in touch with you guys, and maybe I'll see you soon as well. All right. Thank you so much. I see you again soon. Bye bye.